Greetings, fellow readers. This is Rambling Collector, back here with another comic review for all of you today. And for this video, we're going to be diving back into the realm of DC Comics with one of the lesser-known characters, The Question. The subject of this video, The Question miniseries, 5 Books of Blood by Greg Rucka. So, with that being said, let's get started. So, to give a little context before I begin the review, you guys, I just want to clarify something about myself. At one point, I did a massive deep dive into the rabbit hole that is The Question. Mostly from his Justice League Unlimited interpretation, but after that, it just kept going deeper and deeper, to the point that I've actually collected all of his comics. I'm not even kidding with this. I made it my absolute goal to collect some of his comics. This one was among them, and I was so happy I was able to get one of the rare hardcover editions of this collection. But, okay, ranting enough. So, 5 Books of Blood, done by Greg Rucka, actually takes place during the New 52 timeline of the DC Comics era, where this follows the New Question, Renee Montoya, former police officer of the Gotham City Police Department, and then after that, taken in as a student by the original Question, Victor Zsasz, or Vic Sage. And the reason for this is because he was dying of cancer, and their exploits are actually shown in the 52 comic series, I mean. And by 52, I don't just mean like the New 52 itself, I mean as in the 52 comic series. Anyways, this one in particular is very interesting because this one serves as a good highlight piece to Renee Montoya's Question. Which, like I said here in the note, it is a good miniseries that has Renee Montoya as the New Question. It's one of her biggest spotlight series. So the main premise of this is Renee Montoya investigating the syndicate that is obsessed with the crime Bible, supposedly written word of Cain, that features most heavily the religious item of the rock that was used to kill Cain's brother Abel. And I gotta say, you guys, despite the fact that this series was only about 5 issues, I was gripped from start to finish with each and every time I read through this one. Despite the fact that it ends so quickly, the deep dives that Renee goes to, as well as showing all the various ways that she actually commits some of the 4 great sins here, some of which is lying, or lust, or greed, and then eventually murder, which is considered the greatest among this cult. But throughout it all, Renee seems to hold to this idea that she's just trying to investigate, she's trying to stop it by learning more about it, but in the process, she has become full-on obsessed with reading each and every version of the crime Bible, and there was apparently only 3 copies ever made. She's made it her goal to collect all 3, to study this cult, that way she can bring it down and bring it to justice. But in the process, she starts to adapt all these various sins, as I mentioned before. And in my opinion, this one actually shows how in the process of learning about your enemy and becoming obsessed with learning about them, you wind up becoming the enemy. And that is a very thin line that you have to learn to not cross, is learning when your cause to learn about your enemy in order to defeat them becomes a borderline obsession to where you start crossing the same lines that they do, which this series highlights very, very well, and is supplemented by a fantastic art style. Let me show you guys. Now, as for the artwork itself, I will say this much. The artwork for this entire series is gorgeous. I mean, look at this. Look at the colors. Look at the shapes. All of it is so spectacularly well done. And the funny part of it all is that each issue of this miniseries was done by a different artist, which is highlighted by the various different ways that it's created. For instance, you have some that looks a bit rougher, a lot of it that looks smoother, and a lot of it looks more like a watercolor in a way, especially the one on the far right, which I gotta say is a beautiful looking piece of Renee donning her question garb. And I've got to say, I recommend it simply for the art style alone. I mean, look at this. This is a gorgeous piece to have in any collection. Okay, so random thoughts here. I, at one point, actually did cover one of the question miniseries, but it was like the very latest one, The Deaths of Vic Sage, which you could see the link for right here. But, in my opinion, it did not do so well, and if I have a choice, I will go back and redo that one to do it justice, because the question was one of my first big comic obsessions. And speaking of which, Renee Montoya, in my opinion, does not get enough credit as the question. She was a much more action-based question, wanting to hunt down all these different leads, and especially investigating the religion of crime. We could see, though, how it drives her to the wall, the same way as how with Vic Sage's question, if you go back and look at his original series, his quest to bring justice to Hub City, which is actually considered worse than Gotham, if you can believe it. It nearly killed him, just the same as this religion of crime nearly kills Renee multiple times, her obsession with trying to find out the truth. And as a matter of fact, fun fact, I will not lie to you guys, I was disappointed by the ending and just how quickly it ended. I wanted at least a couple more pages to show what happens after Renee takes down the main bad guy. But we don't really see that. However, it was revealed to me that apparently, if you do a bit of decoding, you'll actually find out how it all ends. And lo and behold, I was surprised by the ending, finding out that apparently Renee has the opportunity to lead this entire sect. And judging by how the comic went, I would not be surprised if she actually does so. But again, I feel like Renee Montoya does not get enough credit as the question, as much as Vic Sage does. As far as I'm aware, compared to Vic Sage, who has like multiple one-shots and a few series as well, Renee Montoya has at most one major series with 52, where she gets the spotlight as she takes over as the successor to the original question. But after that, it's 2 miniseries, and then like maybe one single one-shot, which is taken during the Blackest Night. So Renee Montoya, in my opinion, does not get enough credit as the question. But if you're interested in this, I do recommend this as her biggest highlight series. So with that being said, let's move on to the final score. So all in all, I'd have to give Question 5 Books of Blood a good solid 8 out of 10. I feel comfortable putting it there. Because like I said, this series wrapped up so quickly and with such a rushed ending that it left me wanting more. Especially since this is one of the bigger highlight series of Renee Montoya's question. With that being said, the great twists and turns, how it presents itself as a natural thriller novel, as well as the great artwork that supplements the story, I feel like it more than deserves a high rank. And if you guys are interested for me to cover more of the Questions comics or any other rarely talked about DC character in the future, please feel free to let me know. And if you're curious to check out some of the other comics that I have collected and reviewed in the past, feel free to check out the link to the playlist right here. And if you're interested, though, to check out some of the other books that I have collected and read about, feel free to click the link to that playlist as well. And once again, you guys, thank you so much for listening to this crazy man's ramblings. I hope I can continue to entertain you all for quite a long time. And I hope that this one might pique your interest as well. If you have any suggestions, feel free to let me know. And if you like this video, feel free to leave a like, comment your thoughts down below, or subscribe if you're interested for more. Once again, thank you for listening. This is Rambling Collector, signing off.